we wouldn't be in business today if it weren't for that mare. So, but it was the personal attachment to the horse. She was just so special.
Welcome to Good Horses, podcast of the American Quarter Horse Association, where we talk about good horses. My name is Jim Jennings, and today we're doing another of our Legends Remembered segments of good horses, and we're going to talk about one of the legends in our breed. In Legends Remembered, we highlight some of the horses that have been inducted into the American Quarter Horse Hall of Fame, which is the highest honor that can be achieved in our industry. Our subject today is the Dash for Cash daughter, Dashing Phoebe, who was a champion racehorse that became an outstanding broodmare. Dashing Phoebe was a 1983 foal out of the Ladybug's moon mare, Phoebe's Moonbug. She was bred and raced by the Bass family's San Jose Cattle Company of Rockport, Texas. Dashing Phoebe earned $609,553 in 3 seasons at the track, while compiling a race record of 11 wins, 3 seconds, and 1/3 from just 20 starts. As a 2-year-old, after winning the 1985 Sun Country Futurity at Sunland Park, she won the next 5 races in a row, which included Ruidoso Downs' Kansas Futurity. She finished that year being named the AQHA champion 2-year-old filly. The next year, Dashing Phoebe won the Kansas Derby, placed in some other races, and finished the year being named the 1986 champion 3-year-old filly. In 1987, the mare won the Rainbow Silver Cup and the Go Together Handicap at Ruidoso, and was 3rd in the Oceanside Handicap at Los Alamitos. It was at the end of that year that she was retired and sent to the broodmare barn. Dashing Phoebe died in 2013, and she was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2017. Her last owner was Kirk Goodfellow of Nacogdoches, Texas. We sat down with Kirk back in 2017 when he was in Amarillo for the Hall of Fame presentation, and he was able to tell us a lot about the mare, including how he ended up with her.
You know, the last gentleman you had in here was Bobby Cox, and Bobby put her in a sale. I think at the time he just kind of decided he didn't have any faith in her or whatnot at that time, but he has since changed his opinion greatly. And now I'm sure he's one of her biggest supporters. You know, he has a lot of her descendants. But anyway, he put her in a sale in Heritage Place. And at that time was 1998, I believe. My wife and my business partner in Utah was a gentleman, and he was quite a bit older than I was, and he was retiring. He had a great deal of income producing rental properties, and we needed to disperse of all of those so that he could retire. And so my life was kind of in a flux, and we decided that I'd always wanted to get back to a farm. I had horses, but not a lot. I'd raced horses since the early 1980s. But, you know, school and whatnot, kids and education of kids, and, you know, it interfered. And so my wife came in, and I had my feet up on my desk, and she said, "You look really bored." And I said, "Well, you know, there's a lot of changes going on. I guess I am." And she said, "Well, I'm going to ask you a question. I want you to give me an honest answer." I says, "What's that?" You know, "Yeah, sure. Here we go." And she said, "Well, if you could do anything you wanted to do for the rest of your life, what would it be?" And I said, "Honey, we got 5 kids in college. You know, I think I better do what I'm doing." And she said, "No, I'm serious." So I got flippant and said, "Well, I just try to go race the best horses in the world." And she says, "Okay, let's do it." So, you know, a few years later, we'd sold the house and businesses, and we kept a few apartments, a few hundred apartments, but other than that, we kind of liquidated everything. And I went out looking for really great mares, and that mare came in the catalog, and I had seen her run, you know, when she was a young horse, and just thought she was the most beautiful thing God ever put on the face of the earth. And so I told Barbara, that's the one right there. I want to buy that mare. And my wife said, great, let's go get her. And we went to the sale and, we bought her. So I actually bought her in partners. There was a Tom Carlson, Dr. Tom Carlson. He was a guy that often bid against me on horses at set sales. And I said, Tom, I'll tell you what, I'll leave yours alone. You leave mine alone. And we had some picks and he left it alone, but he did have an interest in Phoebe. And I can't remember the number, but it was around 65 or something. Tom was standing next to me at the sale. And I said, I'm about to get into the grocery money here. And he said, well, you want to go partners on her? I said, yeah. And we partnered up and the next bid bought her. And we had some different ideas of the way we wanted to go with her as far as breeding. It wasn't a well thought out plan, but Tom and I remained good friends, and I bought Tom out and went on and did various things with her. So that's how I came into her world, or she came into my world. She became the love of our lives. And so just a great mare. I get emotional when I talk about her, even to this day. She's been gone for several years. But, you think you're buying an investment. And that's not what we got with Dashing Phoebe. We just got a member of the family. Every one of my kids love her. We have 8 kids, and all the kids would ride her. And I rode her, and we took her on trail rides. And even though she was famous in everybody else's eyes for a lot of other reasons that had nothing to do with what made her so special to us. And my grandkids rode her, and she just became a huge part of our family. And I don't know if you heard the speech that we gave at the convention when she was put into the Hall of Fame. Or I should say we, because my daughter gave most of the speech because I got emotional and couldn't complete it. But she was just a huge part of our family. So it wasn't just the breeding and the foals that she produced, although she did a fantastic job of doing that. And we wouldn't be in business today if it weren't for that mare. So, but it was the personal attachment to the horse. She was just so special.
Kirk also told us what she looked like and why he liked her so well.
She's big. She's everything a breeder would want. She has this short little back, this monster hip. She weighed 1,400 pounds when she wasn't pregnant, 1,600 pounds when she was pregnant. She had a chest a mile wide, a shoulder that went forever. Just everything about her, she was put together. And, just the softest, most loving eyes that you could ever, perfect head, long, thin, graceful neck. You looked at her and you said, my God, there's a broodmare. That was just who she was. And her daughters and her sons are all beautiful horses. She had one baby in all those years that I didn't think was the best that you could, that was not the best I produced every single year, which is amazing that one mare, it didn't matter who you bred her to, didn't matter who the sire was. She was going to come with the finest babies that we had every single year. The one that I won't mention the name of the sire or who the horse is because she's still out there. But we nicknamed that one Piglet, and because she was short and fat. And to this day, when we see one of her foals, we look, Piglet's got a foal in the sale, But every other horse that came out of Dashing Phoebe was just a really classy individual, and they could run. Oh my God, they can run. There was never one that wasn't a runner that we encountered. Now, that's not to say some didn't get hurt, some didn't have the natural problems that racehorses do occur, but they all had talent. All of them easy to get along with. You can take those horses after they get off the track, and you can go home and rope on them. You can do whatever you want on those horses. So that's what made her special.
Kirk talked about riding Dashing Phoebe, and we asked him how hard she was to break to ride, considering that all anyone had ever done on her was ride her as fast as she would go straight down the racetrack.
She was a racehorse. She'd been on the track.
Right.
She had to be broke,
Right.
You start riding them, you throw your leg over them and get on, That's how we started. I think probably within a day of her getting home, I was riding that mare. And I rode almost every horse that we've ever had until the last few years when I had a horse called I'm a Jawbreaker. That's what we named her. And she literally, that's how she came by her name, honestly. And but until that time, and I lost some vision and had some problems that way, detached retinas. But until that time, I rode, other than the yearlings, I don't think we have a broodmare that I haven't ridden. So Dashing Phoebe came home to a little 3/4 acre place in Holiday, Utah, and boom, I had a saddle on her the next day, and just went to riding her. She wasn't hard to ride. She was a pleasure to be on. We took her on trail rides. We did everything that you could do with her. The kids all rode her. I don't know how many Boy Scouts that mare taught their horsemanship merit badge to, but a lot, because I was a scout leader for many years, and she was the go-to horse. She was gentle. She was just a pleasure to be around. I've heard the stories about what a fiery individual she was on the racetrack, and I never saw it. Never encountered it at all. And as the years progressed, and she just became a distinguished retired. She was a head lady in what I call my princess pasture, which is just a lot of old mares that I've had or other people have had that I just want to have a home for. They earned it. But she was the queen, and just the gentlest thing. Even the day before she passed, when I'd come out to the pasture each night, she'd come the best she could run. She would run across the pasture to greet me.
But of course, Kirk bought her as a broodmare, and he planned to breed her as soon as he could. Before San Jose sold her, they bred her 5 times, 4 times to Special Effort and once to Beduino. Then they sold her to Bobby Cox. Bobby bred her 5 times, and then he sold her, and that's when Kirk and Dr. Tom Carlson bought her.
She was carrying Strawfly Special when I bought her, and I really liked that baby. But I really liked the Strawfly Special, so I bred her back to Strawfly Special again. And then I did it again. None of those horses were runners, but all 3 of them are produced, 2 of them are produced champions. He's Relentless's mother is The Stream's Flying, I think is her name. And then there was All American Dream Girl. And the first one was named All American Dream Girl, and the people that bought her changed it to PJ Flying Phoebe. So I used All American Dream Girl again. I like the name. So the second one was All American Dream Girl, and then the third one was The Stream's Flying. But none of them turned out to be runners, so I kind of switched around. The way that I got to Hearts Wide Open's father, I owned a share of Corona Cartel, so that's how Fury of the Wind came about. And the way I got to Hearts Wide Open's daddy, feature Mr. Jess, was I wanted a Mr. Jess Perry. But at the time, I just couldn't find anybody that would sell one for what I thought was a reasonable amount of money. And so I went to his leading son at the time. He was not an expensive horse back then. He hadn't really produced anything. And so I bred to him. And that was just, after that, I was able to get a Mr. Jess Perry. And then I got another Mr. Jess Perry, and that produced another stakes winner. And then I did an ICSI, or Final Foal was an ICSI out of feature Mr. Jess, which his name is Flying with Eagles, and he's a stallion that I still own. So, was there a plan? No, there was no scientific data that this is going to match with this. It's a matter of I look at the horse and I go, okay, where can I improve on this? What's my mare's weak spots? What's my mare's strengths? Well, with Dashing Phoebe, to this day, I will tell you, I don't know of a weak spot in her. From the tip of her toe to the top of her ear, that mare was perfect in every way. And so it didn't matter what you bred to her, they were going to be a gorgeous foal. So then you just ended up breeding to something that was popular, fashioned, that was going to sell. I wish I hadn't sold any of them. Wish I owned every one of those mares still. I have few. I have a few of her daughters. I have 2 of her daughters and 4, I think, of her granddaughters. And so.
Dashing Phoebe became an outstanding broodmare, and in 2008 earned AQHA's Dams of Distinction Award. She produced 22 foals with 15 winners, 5 stakes winners, and earners of nearly $2.4 million. Among her foals are 4-time champion and All-American Futurity winner Hearts Wide Open, who earned almost $1.9 million. Champion Special Phoebe with right at $140,000. Grade 3 winner Dashing for Destiny, restricted Grade 3 winner Solid Demand, and stakes place especially Phoebe. Her daughters and granddaughters are carrying on the tradition and have produced such horses as Grade 1 winner Special Wild Train B with more than $500,000 in earnings, Los Alamitos $2 million winner Worth Doing with almost $1.2 million, World Champion Bodacious Eagle with earnings of $1.3 million, Champion American Runaway with $686,000, multiple Grade 1 winner Valiant Tiberius with $833,000, and there are many more. But in 2013, with Dashing Phoebe at age 30, Kirk knew that it was time to put her down. He buried her under a big oak tree near a lake on his property. When we asked him what it meant for her to go into the American Quarter Horse Hall of Fame, he understandably became emotional.
It was pretty special. It's like I told the convention when they called and announced that she was in. It didn't make just my day; it made my whole year, you know. And I guess I'm just maybe I was born 100 years too late. I don't know. But you know, if you want to make me really happy, say something nice about my grandkids, my kids, my horses, or my dogs, you know, and my wife, of course, you know. But when they put Phoebe in the Hall of Fame, that was a pretty special moment, and not for us. Just she deserved it. She did everything a horse could do in the racing industry. She was just so special to us, and there's not a day that I don't go out to that lake and think of that mare.
Yes, she was special. Dashing Phoebe was one of the good ones. Thanks for watching our podcast today, and be looking for the next one when we will talk about another Legends Remembered.